cooked this for his 7 hours. Okay. Okay, thanks.
A little cold tonight. I said a little cold.
Yeah, right.
All right, welcome everyone. Call the January 20th, 2026 meeting to order, 7 p.m. straight up. Attendance?
In attendance are Adam Hall, Bill Condon, Marilyn Whites, Stan Earnhardt, Cindy Fry, Jonathan Rutstein, Bob Meltzer, Brian Larimore, and Blaine Beadle. You have a quorum. No absence.
All right, we still have many minutes needing approval. We were all emailed copies since the last meeting during the month for review. And there were comments back and forth on them, and I guess our best bet is to go through them one at a time and ask for a motion to approve. September 16th, monthly meeting minutes.
Move to approve.
Motion's been made.
Second.
Second. Any discussion on September 16th? All in favor, signify with aye.
Aye.
All right, October 9th, special meeting minutes.
Move to approve. Second.
Got a motion made to approve and a second. Any discussion on that? Still have some?
I still have discussion. So when you go into the return to normal session, it states that there was a motion to accept 2 items discussed in executive session, seconded, all in favor. So my question is, what were those 2 motions? I've asked this numerous times. You have to specify in your minutes what those 2 motions were. It can be in general terms, but we need to know what those 2 motions were.
And when the motions take 2 votes, if there are 2 motions, you would need 2 seconds and 2 votes.
Yeah, that's what happened in the executive session. We had 2 different motions in 2 different passages. So we went into executive session. It doesn't say why. Yeah, we do. Nope, doesn't say why.
Doesn't say.
Okay, again, we'd had this discussion. We asked for input and we're not getting the same input. We could have figured this out already, but we don't need to put in exactly what happened in executive session. We just need to say that it was an executive session for legal matters. And we can make that motion now, or I move to amend the minutes to
There's a
state.
motion on the floor.
Yes. So I'm amending the minutes or the motion to add that it went into executive session for the purpose of legal matters.
Okay, motion's been changed on the floor to
We have to second that.
change that original motion to that it went to executive for legal matters. And Cindy and I and Bill were not at that meeting, so it's hard for us to have any input at all. That was before us. So is there?
So wait a minute. Let me. Okay, make a motion. Okay, go ahead.
So there's a motion to amend.
Motion to amend on the floor that there were 2 or 3 accepted. That evening.
We went into executive session for legal matters.
Right. Okay, so the president's raising an issue. So if the full board voted on 9/16 and half the board wasn't here because they weren't elected,
They can go back and watch the.
but I'm just saying the whole 9 of us voted, 3 of us weren't here. We're not on this board.
Mhm.
If we're going to go back, then we got to go back, and if we're going to follow that, then you got to change it.
Yeah, but
September 6th, you weren't here, Cindy wasn't here,
Yeah, I
and
know.
Mr. Condon
I
was.
was.
But we had all the minutes.
And you were- you asked
Stan
for
and
that.
I were not at that
Yeah,
executive
We had
session
all
either.
those minutes to read.
I know, but you can't object to the October 6th, following the same train of thought, logic, you can't then say the 9th, people weren't here, you can't vote for it. And then you got to go back and say they weren't here the 16th either. Either we're here or we're not here. The board's got to make it. You got a point, Cindy. You can't have people voting for something they weren't part of. That doesn't.
Okay, I can't even, whenever I go back to even watch the watch the meeting, there's no audio, so I can't
No,
listen to.
because Rob cuts off at executive.
Executive
No,
session.
I'm talking about when it goes back into general session, we can't listen to it. And I've gone back and forth, so I can't listen to it. And I have asked these questions for the last 2 months, and I can't get an answer. And I have signed the confidentiality agreements, and I can't get an answer to this specifically. And so I don't understand, why I can't get an answer to my specific questions. And I have asked them via email, I've asked them in person.
So the specific questions that you raised were what happened in the executive session. And that is not part of the minutes. We're trying to approve just the minutes.
Okay.
And we're telling you that what we approved was 2 items. So it's either you accept me saying that we approved 2 items or you don't.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. When you came back into general session,
Mhm.
did you say, I make a motion to, for example, I make a motion and you give specifics. I make a motion to do X, Y, Z, and it was approved and seconded and you voted on it. And then did you do a second one, or did you say, I make a motion that we approve what we did in general session?
My recollection is that we announced what we approved in the executive session.
And that is not legal. You should have done 2 different motions.
Okay, so our parliamentarian is our legal committee chair, correct?
Yes.
So is that accurate for legal matters to just, do we announce what we did or do we have to vote on what we did again?
Well, it depends on what you did. If you're approving a contract, or you're in contract negotiations and you're giving a lawyer advice, you would need to, you can keep the actual motion and the contract secret, but you should come out and say, we approved advice concerning contractual matters
So we announce it.
of what you did, but it does need to be, it shouldn't just be legal matters. It should be contract matters, advice or discuss, well, since it was a motion, so an action was taken, approved the motion that the attorney's going to file this week, so you could say, approved, authorized the attorney to continue in a legal matter.
Marilyn, you have something?
Yes, basically what Bill said, you can't just say we approve legal matters.
Right.
You have to say, as Bill said, a contract for landscaping or salary for,
Yeah, we don't
Right,
give
for
we
the
don't give away
office.
trade secrets.
Right.
So
We don't,
But
but
we
we
can't
have to
just say
give
legal
some
matters.
describe the nature
Yeah.
of each item approved in some manner.
we approved two items for our attorney to take. Is that enough?
2 actions for
2
him to take
actions
in
for him to take.
litigation.
No,
Well, wait a minute. If this is supposed to be private, this might
Mhm.
not be the best place for me to ask those questions. But
but
But-
the point is, we don't have to make a motion in minutes. We have to just announce that we did something
What was it?
in the executive session. We
You
announced
can't just
Well-
say you did
well-
something.
well, what I did in my government board issues is we would come out and say, we would do a motion. We would say, in executive session, we probably would have been very specific. Let's go no higher than $5,000. We wouldn't want to give away our negotiating tactics on a contract. So you come out in executive session and say, we make a motion to to move forward on a contract as discussed in executive session. And that way we know it's contractual related. We know it's moving forward.
Okay.
But we wouldn't give away secret information. Negotiation.
Okay.
Vote.
Retract my motion to amend. I move to table these minutes until the next meeting.
Second.
Motion second. Any further
Can I
discussion?
can I
Yes,
ask
Nick.
one question?
Yeah, discussion.
Can we just strike this from the record?
No, we can't. It happened. We
It
can't.
went on.
Yeah.
Like I say,
Well-
there was,
Well, we can't seem to find out what it was.
Well, once everybody
So,
everybody
just-
passes or signs the confidentiality, then we'll let everyone know what happened.
motion on the floor to table it, and it's been seconded. All in favor, signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? October 21st monthly minutes.
I move to pass. Move to approve, rather.
Second.
Moved, seconded, motion made, seconded. Any discussion on October 21st monthly minutes?
30th. Oh, 21st, I'm sorry.
21st.
Yeah, you got 30th.
Any discussion? All in favor, signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. October 30th email vote.
We did that one already.
You just did it.
That was not in the pending minutes.
October 30th was, hold on, I marked last.
Oh, we couldn't have done it because we didn't have all the names.
October 30th, we did not approve last month because I know people were coming in to finish signing on Rob's desk there. So no, they did not get approved.
Okay.
Is anybody got the,
I have not
everybody
seen
make
it.
it in to sign?
I haven't seen it.
Okay.
I don't recall. So we have to.
Motion to table that?
Yeah, move the table.
All right, there's a motion to table that.
Second.
Second,
Second.
any further discussion? All in favor, signify with aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. I believe I saw that someplace in here, but we'll get it for next meeting.
Okay.
November 24th special meeting minutes.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved to approve and seconded. Any discussion?
Was that the organization?
Yeah,
meeting?
reorg.
Yeah, reorg.
Yeah.
No, November 24th
No,
was
that was
the
Special.
recall meeting, special meeting
Oh,
for
that's right,
recall
the
committee.
recall,
To,
yeah.
to set up the committee, special
Right,
committee?
set up the
Yes, sir.
committee.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
thank you.
And I have those.
All in favor, signify with aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And last month's December 16th monthly meeting minutes.
Move to approve.
Motion on the floor to approve. Need a second?
Second.
And seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, signify aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I abstained because I wasn't here.
All right, one abstain. Motion carries. All right, so we have two left for.
We'll get this on.
All right, little by little. All right, President's report. Good evening and welcome to the new year and our first board meeting of 2026. Since our last meeting in December, we've all celebrated the holiday season with friends and family, but sorrow came about between the holidays as Marilyn lost her husband, Gil. Let's continue to keep Marilyn and her family in our prayers. During this time, I'm still trying to digest the disappointment over the vandalism and defacing that happened to one of our holiday displays. We all have to do better than that out here. As your president, I've stayed plenty busy this past month, spending many hours with various board members, committee chairs, and assisting in any way I can with any problems that arose. Soon there will be many rumors spread around that I seem to be spending way too much time with some of you. I've been encouraged in all my miles traveled in the neighborhood by the number of positive conversations I've had with everyone I've spoken to. A bigger thanks goes to those of you that have just stopped by to say, hey, introduce yourselves when you see me out and about, most of the time in the yard. I see and hear a lot of positive momentum growing from the committee chairs as they meet with their candidates and discuss their objectives. Personally, I value the hours I spent riding around with Ralph and examining all the road work going on. This guy is going to do us one heck of a job along with his committee. Working with Cindy and her committee to get the holiday decorations put out, and then working with Patrick to get the decorations picked up and stored away till next year was as much a benefit to me as it was to them. Patrick and his new committee can take it from here. A special thanks to Stan for getting the outdoor library post reinforced after it had gotten struck by a vehicle. I'll get it painted once we find the paint. All the work Brian and Bill have assisted with the many discrepancies that have been found in both online and hard copies of our policies, procedures, and you name it. It does show we have some work to do. As for Bill, single-handedly, the one guy keeping what little sanity I have left intact. I hope everyone here knows just how important Rob is to Wedgefield. He has dug out many things for me to follow up on, and little by little, we have made forward progress. Has there been some discouragement? Sure. Most of it's come from documentation, either lack of or differences in areas of our manual and or online versions. As some of you are aware, once we get moving on something, we have to stop, take note, and we'll go back and address it as we get time. The assistance given by this board is appreciated. I've been reminded more than once by some of you that our problems did not happen overnight, and nor will they be fixed overnight. As for the entire board, I will try to remain out of your way and let you as the board and as committee chairs do what you're here for. If I get too involved, just say stop. I look forward to you and your committees taking care of the task at hand, and we'll try to make this entire place just a little bit better for everyone. Thank you. Secretary report. Oh, I'm sorry, Vice President report?
No report this week.
No report. Secretary report.
For the past month, there's been a lot of activity within the office. We received a lot of correspondence from members and the board, and the board has made every effort to respond in a timely fashion through our community liaisons. If any members have written the office and have not received a reply, please let us know. As of close of business on Monday, we have received 99 members' annual assessments. All members have until February 28th, 2026 to submit their annual assessments to the office, either by check or electronically via our website to remain in good standing, unless prior arrangements have been made with the office. Any owners that have not paid their annual assessments by February 28th will no longer be in good standing as of March 1. We want all owners to be in good standing, so please be sure to turn in your assessments or make arrangements with the office. A couple of weeks ago, I asked our office administrator to share our unapproved minutes with all directors so we could expedite the approval of all minutes at today's meeting. I believe this process worked fairly well, as we did receive feedback from board members as they reviewed the documentation. This bodes well for a new project to move to Google Workspace as our new email and document collaboration and backup solution. However, we still need more time to put together a corporate email policy, which I have forwarded to our compliance and legal committees for review. I expect this will take some time before it can be presented to the board for reading and approval, given the heavy workload currently on those committees. The official recording of approved bylaw changes from our annual members meeting is in process. Per a member requests our annual members meeting to extend office hours. We have changed the office hours to be 8 to 2 Monday through Thursday and 12 p.m. noon to 6 p.m. every first and third Tuesday. Respectively submitted.
Thank you.
Treasury report, Donovan.
Okay, so you have my report. This goes to the end of the calendar year for our investments and operating accounts. So it's December 31st. The operating account, I try and keep as low as possible. It's $12,613. We try and invest all the money, and I'll get to that in a minute. And the rest of it is just the normal accounts we have, ARC, debit, ARC, and we have a small money market, so it's not a lot. Now for the investment accounts. This is where it really counts. TD Bank, we ended with $240,665. The strategy on this one was that it would be held for the dredging, but the dredging is taking a little longer. And I didn't want to pull any money out. We owe about 200,000. We paid actually in January 60,000, so that number has come down. But I can't reinvest it because that really is going to go for all the dredging. Edward Jones, that's a major part of our investment accounts. 4290 is a very small corporate account we still have hanging around, but 258,476 is in the money market. 175 is with through them with a CD yielding 4.34, another 175 4.24, and 200,000 at 3.7. Now the total, which you add the TD Bank and Edward Jones, those are your investment accounts. It comes to $1,049,183. Okay, so I always had an issue with Mike Downs, who was here, but I want to clarify how this all works. There is no particular fund that is in our corporate accounts. In other words, we take all the money that you pay for assessments. I then invest it on part of the HOA through the board direction after my recommendations. So the $1,049,000 is investments against our funds. There's no road fund in particular that we have a CD in. It's just all in a basket and we pull it out. So at the end of December, with $1,049,183 in investment accounts, we had $1,045,150 for the funds. So we were just a little over by $4,000, and that was just interest. The Spectrum account at the end of the year had $56,000 in it, $56,043. South Atlantic, we have an investment account there from the door fee that we received. That's $125,224. That's at 4.10. That becomes due on 2/21. I'm going to make a recommendation before at the board meeting because it's going to come before that is due. We'll go for a 1-year investment. That's as high as we can go. So in March of last year, I came to the board because I didn't think that we were taking advantage of the monies that came into the HOA. And I recommended in March an investment ladder. That we'd ladder in CDs. I came back in June and I gave a recommendation. To date, I want you to understand this, to date, that investment strategy has yielded for the HOA $28,078.48. Now, why is that important? All that money is then redistributed. Interest money goes back into the reserve funds. So investment strategy is no small issue here. We have a lot. When you have $1 million over, the way we invest our money is very important. Next, we had a CD come due on 12/5 and we pushed it into the TD Bank, or rather into the corporate Edward Jones account. That one is for the roads. The roads is going to absorb another $200,000 out of this our funds. So it's difficult for me with the drainage close to 200,000 and the roads close to 200,000. How we're going to invest our money. However, my strategy is this: as the assessment money comes in, and we keep a low profile in our operating account, then I'm recommending through the finance committee that we invest. You allow me to invest $150,000 when I see that we have that money and we can cover our accounts for 9 months. Now, here's what's going on in the market in case you haven't noticed. Last December, doesn't seem that long ago, the CDs were yielding 3.65. They're now yielding 3.7. In fact, the CDs are yielding higher than the treasuries. And what's going on is the Japanese bond market. Don't know if you're paying attention, folks, but you ought to. The Japanese bond market interest rates are now over 4% for the first time in 40 years. So what's happening, it's a lot of, the Japanese can pull out their money from our treasuries, put it in their money at a higher yield than ours. Ours are yielding, as of today, it was 3.63 for 9 months. Our CDs are yielding longer than our gold standard treasuries. And the strip accounts, which are interest-based, is 3.62. So you better be, things are shaking in the bond market because of Japan. And what would happen is that when I get to 150, we may even have a higher investment interest because there's no confidence in the US dollar. And you can see it going on. So my recommendation to the board is give me authority to invest for a 9-month CD. Right now it's 3.70. I think it's going to be higher. when we have the funds available within the next year. And when this next month, what happens is we get a small increment. We have 99 property owners are paid. Most of it now will come in February. So I want to have the ability to move that money into a 9-month CD. So that's my recommendation.
Thank you, John.
That's my motion.
Oh, you want
I need
before the mo-
I need
before the money's
authority.
there, okay.
I need authority to invest up to $150,000 in a 9-month CD when I feel confident that we have enough cash to cover it.
Motion on the floor to transfer those funds.
Second.
Second. Any
Second.
discussion?
I have a question about how we spend our money. All right, roads, for example, you know, we approved up to $210,000 last year. I mean, I'm not trying to create a dangerous situation here, and the interest rates haven't been favorable, but if we're able to secure that and borrow against the money, hold on to our reserves and keep our capital in an interest-bearing account, is it time to have a study and look at that?
Well, now you're talking my game because I'll get it to the finance committee. It's my belief that we're like you, and I'm sure everybody in the room is smart enough to figure out, why should we be pulling money out of a good interest-bearing account? We ought to look at alternative ways to finance it. You know, you're going to pull out just for a point of interest, we're going to pull out 400,000 out of our investments. We only have probably, I mean, Marilyn and Cindy, probably 195 is going to come back. So we're going to be, and Brian's going to show in the next month or two how we were at 725, but our major investment is roads, canals. You know, we'll be done with that, and we won't have enough money to reinvest to keep at a equilibrium rate, because we're going to always keep running down our roads investment. And I think the finance committee talked about this Monday night, in that we need to have maybe another way of looking at how we invest our money, because 28,000 is no small shakes, but how we spend our money, and there are other ways we can raise funds. The problem right now is because of what happened with the $800,000 before all of us were here. When that dredging occurred, it put a bad taste in everybody's mouth, and so we're restricted from even if we wanted a loan, go to a bank and get a loan, we can only go to $15,000. We would have to go to the annual meeting for a bylaw change. So we're hamstrung. When we had the high interest rates, we may have been able to work some financial, strategies, but we can't right now. We can't. So. But it's well taken. When I get to the finance committee, I'll talk about with Brian's. I don't want to take his thunder, but we aren't. I would never run a business this way. I don't run my 4 businesses this way. When I get to July and August, and a board member says to me, we need $200,000 for roads, you're crazy, brother, because I had not figured that out. You have to have a 5-year plan. You have to figure out what your capital expenses are going to be, and you have to then figure out what your assessment cost, raising is. And then you can have a good investment strategy. It goes right to what you're saying. We can take advantage of interest rates and we can play with this. I mean, what prevents me from going into municipal bonds for the WPA? I can't. We can't. We need a real good discussion. I mean, we should be able to really invest our money smartly and get a lot for it. And it helps our reserve funds. That's the bottom line. And I think we thought small game, and I think we got to think a bigger game for investment strategies.
Yeah, I think we're stuck. We had Jonathan's motion on the floor.
Yeah.
Transfer to 150
Yeah.
second.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? None. All in favor, signify with aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
I'm done. That's great.
All right, thanks, Jonathan. Yep. All right, next, we'll have first thing, as most of you board members can see, there's probably 100 pages in your packets here. And I got here early and I discussed with Rob about how much time that took to do. And first of all, that's exciting because I know committees have got together, they're doing their job, and here's their initial reports, their members, whatnot. But just as we're currently doing the minutes where Rob emails them to us to read ahead of time for approval. What are y'all thoughts about the same thing with these committee reports? Once he has them, he emails those to us prior to the meeting. And the committee chairs, I'll tell you now, Rob, we discussed that he would like them at least one day in advance. The more, the better, so he can get them all to us. But if you all are the way we're doing electronic with the meeting minutes, if we could also do these committee reports that way.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Is there a motion that's?
Well,
Discussion, Bill, go ahead.
yeah, discussion. I think, we've got a bunch of committees. I need at least a full day to review them. So it'd have to be to Rob.
3 days. at least.
Yeah. It's, yeah.
Last week.
I think
3 days.
One day is too short. 2 days might be too short because somebody might, might be out of town that weekend.
3 days.
And they don't come back till Monday.
maybe 5 days.
3 minimum, 5 minimum?
Yeah, it's.
Yeah, you're right.
Three, 5?
3.
I could go, that we get them within 3 days?
Yeah, we get them within 3 days, which means
All right.
you all as committee chairs.
Yeah.
have to
Gotta
start
get 'em
thinking
within
about it
5,
5
yeah.
days, a week in advance.
I can go with
That's
that.
okay. We got it. So
Yeah.
the 12th.
So I guess the
Say 3 to 5.
3 to 5.
3 to 5.
Okay.
Have more flexibility.
So if you all
Say
want
5,
to
I'll get it there in 3.
if somebody can make a motion.
I make a motion that the committee meeting minutes, committee meeting agendas and minutes and recommendations go to Robert 3 days prior.
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? I will save some trees. All in favor, signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
That will be February the 12th.
Wait, it's Friday.
3
Rob
days.
work on Friday?
Has to
Yeah,
be
he
a
doesn't
Friday.
work. You have to be the 11th.
No,
sorry.
Rob works on
And then
Friday.
Rob, you work on Friday, 12/6? What is it? Friday.
3 to 5 business days.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Yeah, we always get in trouble with that. What's 3 days prior to the next meeting?
12th.
12? This meeting 17.
That'd be
Is it? 17th, I'm
Can
sorry.
we make it 1 week?
It'd be the
So
14th.
We're gonna have to make it, 5 days because of your
Just go
Friday
ahead, like a
meeting's
10th.
Tuesday.
What? What day?
Make it
We're gonna have to
a
make it,
monthly,
we're gonna have to make it 5
5 days.
because he's off
12.
3 of those 5.
Let's make it mandatory 5 days.
Fine. Yeah.
All right,
Figure it out.
we said 3 to 5.
Okay.
All right, let's make it, let's keep it simple at 5 and that gives him time because it's this weekend.
All right, so I think we had already approved what was there, so just as parliamentarian, I'm okay if nobody objects to just changing it to 5 right now.
3 to 5.
That'll be okay, as long as nobody objects, without having to take another vote.
Any objection? That makes good sense. Okay, thank you, Bill.
Business days, calendar days, which one?
How many? Is it 5 business or 5 calendar? I think it's 5 calendar.
5 calendar, that would
Okay.
be,
There's one distinction.
yeah, because that still means he's off 3 of them, but at least he has it. And with his hours being 12 to 6 on the day of the meeting, he said that helps him a bunch, so with that change. Okay. All right, committee meeting or committee chair reports now. Please give your reports and then address your committee members for board vote. And we'll try to move this along as quickly as possible. I see some of these are quite lengthy, so hit the high spots and we'll move forward. So first up is Jennifer and Jennifer, grounds landscaping.
Jennifer and Jeff.
Hi. All right, so the landscaping committee, I met twice and went over a bunch of stuff. First thing is the new landscaping policy. We finalized our revision and Jennifer is going to meet with Bill, the compliance chair, to figure that out. But in the meantime, am I understanding that the landscaping committee is to work under the grounds policy?
Only one we
We've
have
got a
here.
second reading tonight on the floor. So we do it for a second reading.
Yeah, but for now, the answer is yes to her question, because we have not, we don't know it'll pass tonight.
Okay. 5-year plan. So I'm going to be coordinating with Jonathan Rutstein to align the budget for the committee's long-term 5-year plan, and we're aiming to start this year. So hopefully we can get that going. Insurance claim, I sent the damages done to the plants for the motor vehicle accident right about a year ago to the past president, and I haven't heard anything since as far as if it's been submitted to the insurance company, if we're getting it back or what. That's $2,100 that we're still waiting on. And I think we did speak briefly about that, and you're going to work on that.
Bob's working on that.
Perfect. Irrigation system. My understanding is Mr. Earnhardt winterized that early November, correct?
Yeah, the PP&E committee, such that it was there, and yes.
Perfect. Okay. And then lightning and safety. We've contacted Santee Electric and has issued a service order to assess the front entrance lighting following reports of unsafe conditions because of being extra dark and stuff. And also we'll be talking about energy saving lights up front too. Front entrance palm tree. There was an issue, I guess one of the palm trees might be dying. One of my committee members spoke with a palm tree expert who states that we're going to wait till March or early April to take care of that. Utility box up front, you notice that the bushes have been gone for a while. And another committee member is looking into either landscaping or something along those lines to make that look a little more representative, look prettier. Some bulbs are out under the near the palm tree. I think Nate's going to help try to get that part ordered for us. The art of the month is going to continue, so look out for that. PPE. Do you have any updates on that brick wall? I know that it needs to be fixed, the brick wall around the flower beds. I didn't know if you guys were working on that last year or where you guys are at with that, so we can pick that up and continue.
You were referring to PP&E?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, I believe we thought that was roads. There was supposed to be a coordination between the layer here and fixing that, and that didn't come to fruition.
Okay.
So I don't know the status of that at this point.
Okay.
So what, you're talking about the circle right out there?
I'm talking, yeah, there's down there. I mean, it's obvious.
So I've had a brick mason come out twice to my house, and I just asked them what they were looking, if they would come and price how much it would cost. And they should be sending me those estimates this week, and I will send them to you just so you have 2 estimates under your belt. So whoever, I was going to send it to the board and send it to you guys, PPE. So you've got 2 estimates just to take that off your plate. So you've got 2, you just need to get 1 more or 3 more, however many, just if you want them.
Okay, perfect. And then lastly, approving the committee members. So I'd like to welcome back Mary Sasso, Patrick Montgomery, and Nikki McNair, who served last year, in addition to Brooke Harding and Stuart Nielsen.
Move to accept those members.
Motion on the floor to accept Jennifer's members. A second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. There's your members.
Thanks,
Thank you,
sir.
Jennifer. 5-year planning, Brian or Blaine?
Unless you want to. Just reading. I'll try reading. I need practice. All right. 5-year planning committee report. 5-year planning committee, co-chaired by Blaine Beadle and myself, have accepted 4 members of the community to sit on the committee. Inga Ebert, Brenda Martin, Nate Nadeau, and Maureen Vassy. We will meet over the next month to review the current assets, budget, and capital projects, which we will use to begin modeling our next 5 years of finances. We are also requesting from all committee chairs with capital expenses to please submit any 5 and 10-year project lists and updated 5 and 10-year project list. I will email the committee chairs with details of this request. This committee will continue to work closely with the finance committee to provide updated projections of our finances throughout the year. I move to accept Inga, Brenda, Nate, and Maureen as members of the committee.
Second. Motion second. Any discussion on Brian's recommended members? All in favor, signify aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. There's your members.
Thank you.
Long range drainage and drainage. I'll put Adam back to back here and have him go through both of those. I imagine his committees are going to be close to the same, but go ahead, Adam.
The red light's not on, so I don't know if it's working or not.
Might not even be plugged in. Sorry. Use Bill's. It's kind of, yeah. They pick up pretty well.
Check. All right. So the Drainage and Infrastructure Committee held a virtual meeting with Tommy Holt of G3 Engineering on December 16th, which is the day after the December monthly meeting. We discussed a proposal for a drainage inventory study. This would give us a document that would help us file with Georgetown County for future drainage planning and participation, hopefully with the county. I received an email this week from Tommy, which I did distribute this afternoon to the members of that committee. He came out for an initial site tour. I wasn't aware of that. He just came and drove through the neighborhood. He doesn't believe we have enough actual infrastructure in place. And what I mean by that is the number of catch basins and actual pipes underneath the road to warrant that sort of a study, being that most of our drainage is open ditches and swales. He said it would be unreasonably expensive, and especially if they brought out crews to do measurements along all of our ditches. So he suggested what we would do is we would make a triaged list of site-specific analysis. So, and this kind of goes back to some ideas I'd heard from members of the community that let's start with the areas, the worst first that we're aware of, which we have a pretty good list of those areas already. And that would fall in line kind of with the recommendations that the Clemson capstone presentation showed us. That it would allow us to preserve capital for repairs. So they would come out, we would say, all right, we have a bad intersection here, tends to get inundated and hold water or flood with water. We want to look at the areas that are, immediately impacting property and infrastructure within the neighborhood. They could give us an analysis, an engineered analysis and a fix for that. It would make contracting of repair that much simpler and more concise. And he'd be able to start, with an initial tour of the neighborhood and start identifying these areas by mid-February. As far as the drainage committee itself goes, anybody that would like to participate in 2026 on the drainage committee is welcome to reach out to me. The email address is cahall17@yahoo.com, cahall17. It's available in the office too. They can get in touch with me. The function of the drainage committee, or my hope for the function of the drainage committee in 26, will be taking recommendations that we'll get from this engineering studies, and we'll turn those into proposals that will go to the long range infrastructure committee, which now will ultimately go to the 5-year committee. So we'll have sort of a step ladder with what we want. They'll give us a blanket idea of what we need to do in a particular area. We'll sound that off of our infrastructure committee and then have a nice proposal to bring to the board with recommendations to the 5-year committee. Also, as far as the drainage committee itself goes, and this will come up in art, but redoing some of our reporting forms. So right now, when somebody calls the office or emails the office, I get an email that says somebody has a drainage issue or a complaint in a particular area. I'd like to have a form that outlines what that is. That way we can not only track the issue, we can track our response to that issue, and then we have a reference to go back to later if the issue resurfaces. What did we do last time? Did it work? Did it not work? What are our results? Also, in that committee, there's probably a certain amount of hard labor at some point, so be prepared for that before you sign up. And then obviously, with what Brian just mentioned about the 5-year committee, and I just sort of added this in as I was talking, but we want to make sure that our big drainage projects that we have, that we can predict or plan for, that we bring that in front of you guys. We know Clemson talked about, revitalizing the ditches and addressing those. And that will be something to come as far as the engineering part of it goes. But I think instead of us, going to a site and saying, oh yeah, this doesn't look good, what should we do? And then throwing money at the problem and maybe we don't get it fixed, we'll have a little bit more to work with, and it won't be as expensive as an initial out of pocket as the full on comprehensive drainage study. I mean, I think a majority of the neighborhood doesn't suffer from drainage problems. So if we're able to use site-specific engineered analysis, pay for that as we need it, and then that'll give us more money to work with actually solving the problems. This is a letter I sent to the committee today from Tommy Holt, just to say he did a preliminary site visit to observe the infrastructure that's in place. From the visit, I don't feel like there's enough infrastructure, i.e. piping, catch basins, et cetera, to justify an inventory study. The better track would be to meet you on site, ride through and observe your trouble areas. And then we treat everything in a triage manner, attack those areas by level of concern. It would be more efficient use of your resources. That way you're not charged for something that wouldn't be beneficial to the HOA. You don't want to miss anything that could be a true problem area. And if you guys are good with this, he'd like to review when he's back in town. Like I said, probably be mid-February. So that concludes my report.
I got a question. Adam, does he give a price? Because has he changed his dollar amount?
So the price for the comprehensive drainage study, like we pursued with other firms before, was about $45,000.
Right.
So then as we talked, when I've gone to Georgetown County about how do we get a best management practice plan with Georgetown County, the feedback I got from Stormwater was that we needed to have a recorded drainage plan on file. So when I brought that news back to G3, he said, well, what we need to start with is an inventory study. We need to figure out what do you have to work with that's in place now. We'll diagram all of this stuff, and then you'll have a document you can take and file with the county. Well, upon further review, he said, you have a couple of pipes that go into the road and you have catch basins on some corners, but the 90% of your system is made up by ditches. And it doesn't, for them to come out and do an inventory study of our ditches would be, he said, significant man hours, and the price for that. So at that point, they're not just measuring built infrastructure. They would be measuring ditches and the drop on all the ditches. And he said that number would be much higher than $45,000. And he didn't think that was a good use of our money at this point. He said, start with your problem areas first, and then you can work your way back. And that would leave us money to actually address the issues that we have rather than.
So but we don't have a revised estimate from him.
I don't have a revised, no, because he didn't even pursue that number after he came out here and saw what was going on. He just said it would be grossly expensive for what we would get and what we would be able to use.
Okay. But we didn't have one next month. We'd have.
Yeah. So what we'll do is he'll come out, we'll drive around, and if we show him 10 spots, then he can tell us like, all right, give us an estimate of his man hours. But he thought that would be the most beneficial way from a capital expenditure point,
Okay.
And then that leaves, we budgeted for a drainage study.
Right.
We put that $45,000 away.
Right.
And if we use $25,000 on a site-specific study of a couple of problematic areas, then maybe the thought would be we could recycle that money into the drainage budget and use that if we need to repair, remove, or replace infrastructure.
Okay. Thanks.
Do you have your proposed members for long range?
I don't, I'm asking, well, we have our long range
Long
committee.
range.
We decided that was going to be an enduring committee before so that we can provide some continuity with that. I think on that is Bob, Marilyn, Peggy, Steve, Ralph, Vince Morbit, myself. That's our long range infrastructure committee. As far as this year's, the 2026 drainage committee, I'm accepting volunteers. If anybody wants to reach out, we can get with me. We need some shovels and some boots. It's all downhill.
All right, so why don't we get a motion to accept the long range again? I think Maryland named that committee last year, and I think we remain, but let's be legal about it.
Okay, yeah, so I would like to submit my members of the long range committee for acceptance in the
Second.
2026 term.
Adam already mentioned who they were, so I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor? signify aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposes. Okay, the long range is done. Drainage, if you get nobody, I may volunteer again, but let us know when you get those. Next meeting, Adam, maybe we bring it up for a vote. All right, roads, Ralph.
Is this thing on?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So regarding the Rose Committee, I have 3 members, Gary Drapo, Gary Dreer, and Ross Cox.
Okay,
And I believe all of them have signed a confidentiality agreement, turned it in.
all right, since he brought that up first, if we get a motion to,
Second.
motion, a second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, there's your team.
Okay. So we're all aware, recently we just had asphalt repair work and repaving done in the neighborhood on 5 different courts, done by Coastal Asphalt. They are still in the process of working on that because there's a punch list that they have and a punch list that we put together within our committee as well. And so far, their punch list is longer than what we have. So on January 9th, me and the committee met with the sales representative and the outside superintendent from Coastal Asphalt here. We went and walked and looked at Jericho Court, Head Court, and discussed issues that we see with some of the work that they've done. Their outside superintendent sees the work, he understands, and he is a little bit upset himself as to the turnout, what they did with some of the work. But they are on it, it's ongoing work, and right now, the main thing on Head Court and Jericho Court, they're waiting on the extension rings for the manhole covers. Those 2 courts, the manholes are larger than most of the other ones we have in the neighborhood. And right now, well, they've been out of stock, and they get those through Georgetown County Water Authority. So they're waiting on those to come in, and once those come in, they're gonna put the extension rings in so the manhole covers will raise up, and then they'll resurface the road. It'll be a 10 by 10 resurfacing around each of those manholes, and everything will be level with the road surface. So as I said, it's an ongoing process, and the extension rings are on order. They could come in this week. It could take a month. They don't have a date for that yet. Also, in regards to some of the damages that was done during the asphalt process, mailboxes being damaged, we've taken care of all the mailboxes. They've all been replaced, and all we gotta do right now is send in the invoice or send in for reimbursement to Coastal Asphalt. I spoke with their sales representative today, and he said just send them an invoice. Totals up to $171 at this point. So it's really, compared to their contract, it's just beans, I guess. So, yeah, I'm gonna try to get that put together this week, and we'll send it out to them and get the money back, which I myself has paid for all the mailboxes.
Damn right.
So that money came out of my pocket. So going forward, I don't have a 5-year plan that I put together yet, but I've been looking at some of the roads that need a repair over the next 5 years. Rags Ferry and Wedgefield Road entirety, full length of those roads need to be re-asphalt. Because I guess they're probably the oldest roads in the neighborhood, and the asphalt is cracked up and deteriorating, and it's getting in pretty bad shape. With that said, if we was to do all that at one time, you're probably looking at a neighborhood of $1.5 million. And I don't know what the best plan will be if you try to do all that at one time and then your roads are good for 30 years or more. Or you're gonna look at patchwork going forward, for, spending $200,000 to $300,000 a year for the next 5 or 6 years, just to get those 2 roads done and completed. But that's something I'd like to sit down with Brian and Bob and anyone else on the board that'd like to sit in on it to discuss how we should move forward in getting that accomplished.
Absolutely.
And like Adam mentioned earlier, I'm sort of on the same page with him to look into possibly financing these repairs and keeping our assets into investments. And, because if you look at doing that, you finance that project out for 10 years, then that puts you at about $150,000 cost per year that we already have in the budget coming in to pay for that. And we could be making money on our assets, the money we have sitting in the bank. That's something else to look for, look at.
Okay.
Because looking at Jonathan's report they put out here today, currently gonna have, it looks like $500,000 in the roads at this point. That's before we pay out for the work we just had. So I have 2 invoices here. The big one is $206,301.22. That work, we're just holding back on that invoice because that's the majority of the work that they did, and we're not gonna pay them until they finish their punch list. They do have a second invoice for the amount that was approved by the board, $6,180 for a patch that they did on Daniel Morale, and then some widening of the cul-de-sac on John Waite's Court. That work is 100% complete and accepted. So I asked that the board move forward and possibly paying that invoice to Coastal Asphalt.
I like to get it, but not, I like to receive it, but not pay it.
Robert has a copy of it.
It's okay.
Also, I think I've come up with a couple of questions for the board. I have questions. In regards to Robert Conway, I guess over on Robert Conway is another little area, little neighborhood that's not part of the HOA, is that correct?
The arbors.
The arbors. Does anyone know what part of Robert Conway does the responsibility of the HOA end and their responsibility takes over?
The intersection with Monroe. The intersection with Robert Monroe.
Morel.
Daniel Morale.
Daniel Morale.
So from that intersection going left is their responsibility,
It's not ours. We
but
have
from that
nothing
intersection going right.
going to the right,
Back
going
towards
to
the
the
water.
marsh,
Yeah.
that belongs to the HOA.
Okay.
Your break is right at that intersection.
So we were pretty close.
Also,
Yeah.
We were guessing.
Number 2 question is the condo area and the condo parking lots and the roads that are over there in the condo area. Where does the paving responsibility for the HOA end?
That's been debated for years.
We do have a,
Because there's some roads over there that need some work and some areas that are, I would consider them to be parking lots for the condos. The pavement's in pretty bad shape.
we have a recommendation, that's not the right word, but our attorney has kind of told us where he thinks our ownership is and where the WPA ownership is. So we can give you that report to go off
So
of.
we have that here somewhere.
So we're gonna be putting that into the record, have it on record with the HOA.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, that's all we have right now. Because like
We
Sandy
have
said, we've been
minutes.
debating that for a long time.
Minutes from February 2010,
February
This is-
2010.
it's all spelled out there, yeah. As to what is, as far as I know, that's the most recent board policy regarding
Those
the
parking lots and those
WPA.
roads. Okay,
Okay.
so we can dig. Hopefully that's still there.
Gets us a starting
If not, I have a copy.
You might want to just send that over instead of me digging, but yeah, I appreciate that if you got it, or Ralph. Because Ralph and I, we rode,
You wrote it
And-
up.
Basically, it says we're responsible for the roads. We're responsible for the trees and the islands in the middle of the roadway. And then it goes into some of our drainage responsibilities. Some of that's supposed to be cooperative, and part of it is, if it has to do directly with the road, we're responsible.
And there's some cul-de-sacs. That is the responsibility of the WPA.
so if you can dig that up for Ralph and myself.
Yeah, if we can find that information, it would be helpful. So,
I'll look, I haven't seen it in a while.
Yeah, because we rode and, Ralph's asking me a question, I can't, but we see the problems over there.
Okay,
So going forward over the next 4 to 6 weeks, I'm going to be reaching out to Coastal Asphalt and a couple of other asphalt contractors to bring them in here and give estimates on the repaving Rags Ferry and Wedgefield Road. And once we see what the cost might be, we'll figure out how to break it down to where we can cover the cost of how much we can handle per year or how we want to cover the cost.
Okay.
All right, so that's all I have.
I got a question. The punch list, we're not paying any extra for,
No, sir.
okay.
Nope.
The other thing Adam called me and we discussed, we got cold weather coming in. Does the county going to treat our roads with the next 7 days where you got very severe weather? I mean, that corner where the trees are, it gets icy.
Once you're inside the gate, they didn't treat the roads last year.
No, but I mean, outside the gate is county road. That's their responsibility. But we got to make sure that if you can find out, I don't know what, we're probably low on the totem pole, but,
I don't know if you've been north going across the two bridges.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
yeah. But here, we've had problems and we ought to,
We have no way in and out of here.
Yeah, this is it.
There's not much treatments throughout the town,
Yeah.
anywhere, but the bridges.
But Adam has a very good point. We only have one way in and out.
In and out.
That's a life safety issue.
Yeah.
So we
It
should
is.
be able to-
Last year, I spent an hour and a half out there trying to help cars get off
Yeah.
of that road.
Yeah.
It's frozen.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah.
well, it's coming.
We need help
It's
getting the
coming
car out
to
of the building.
Saturday, Sunday. Well, maybe we'll triage people who want to leave. But I think if you can, check with the county and see if they're going to do anything. Then Robert can put it out and say, hey, this is the issue.
County Highway Department.
Yeah, county.
Just a reminder, Ralph, that the cones that we put out are all ours. If you can monitor those, even though some have been destroyed, make sure you get all the pieces
Yeah, what's left.
picked up and and put back in here, and they go out back. So they don't take those with them.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks,
Ralph.
thanks, Rob.
Okay, welcome Cindy Fry.
I do not have a report for welcoming, but I move that we add Shirley Nelson to the welcoming committee.
Second.
Motion to add Shirley has been seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you.
water amenities, Chris is here. Or, Cindy, you want to do that?
I'll do it just in front of the community.
Okay.
Boat landing docks, the Water Amenities Committee is currently developing a scope of work to solicit bids for the replacement of the south dock, gangway, and pilings. Our goal is to have all bids ready for presentation and discussion at the regular February board meeting or sooner. Initial discussions with dock manufacturers indicate an estimated 6-week delivery timeline from the time a deposit is received. The objective is to have this project fully completed by May 1st. We're looking at some higher end docks that are like aluminum framing with Brazilian hardwood decking, something that will last maybe 30, 40 years compared to just pine that just falls apart after 10 years. Thank you to the community member that spotted a bad board on the docks and reported it to the office. We're going to take care of that next week. Well, I'm sorry, this week. Dredging, as of December 23rd, stage 1 of the dredging project has been completed, surveyed, and approved by Earthworks, our engineer of record and project manager. Permit requirements, dredging operations will be paused during the months of February and March. That's a requirement of the DHEC permit. During this time, the contractor will remain on site and relocate piping and machinery within the canal and spoil site. As always, if you observe any safety concerns at the landing or related to water amenities, please notify the office in writing or by email so that we can address them promptly. And then our committee needs to be approved. That's Chris Carroll and myself, Adam Anderson.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion on Adam's committee? All in favor? Aye.
Wait a minute, Chris, don't go away. So from just a financial standpoint, when he hits February, Adam, how much will be done?
How much, I'm sorry?
How much of the project will be done, you think?
What'd you say, Chris? A third? Approximately a third,
So when he hits February, a third of the total will be, okay.
maybe a little over a third.
Well, I'll say, okay. Just from a cash flow perspective. Thanks.
Thanks, Adam. Community liaison, Cindy or Marilyn?
So before I do the community liaison report, I wanted to do a brief after-action report about the holiday decoration and give the board a couple of ideas to think about. So in October of 25, the Communications Committee was told that we were responsible for this project, and that was confirmed at the October board meeting. We quickly added Eileen Kramer to our Communications Committee, became a decorating committee, planning committee. Because of insurance issues, the committee talked to the board and we began getting bids for professional lighting for the circle. We received 2 bids. The third was a no-show. The first bid was for $5K for decorating the trees in the circle only. The lowest bid, Pure Lighting, was out of Myrtle Beach, and they had a bid for $4,500 to decorate the circle, the gatehouse, and the entrance. After many days of emails going back and forth, I think at one point we had like 54 emails going back and forth, the board agreed unanimously via email to accept Pure Lighting bid and move forward. I did go back and forth with them, did some final negotiations, and we got that estimate down to $4,000. We took some things out. With the help of neighborhood volunteers, Bob Metzer, his wife, and Dan Arnhart, their spouses, we began decorating the community in mid-November and finished the first week of December. And the 1st of December, I gave notice to the board that I could not be responsible for the luminaries, but the volunteers in the community stepped up and took care of that for us. There was a request to return the nativity scene, the original nativity scene, so I'm not sure what happened to that. A different family donated a new one this year, as well as the bows for the wreaths at the front entrance. So thank you to those families. Pure Lighting removed the lights earlier today. They did tell us if we were to sign a contract for next year before the end of the month, we would be able to retain the 2025 prices. We're not going to be able to do that because we would have to get 2 more bids. I'd like to thank Patrick and Bob for taking down, packing up, and storing the decorations. So my takeaways. It is my opinion that the holiday community decorations are the responsibility of the landscaping committee. Communications committee is responsibility for working in conjunction with landscaping and volunteers by distributing information and requests to the neighborhood. If the HOA plans to continue using professional decorators or lighting, we should start beginning the planning in July, because many of the contractors offer discounts for those who make early commitments, some up to 20% off. Can you imagine what we could do with that additional money? If the board decides to go to a professional route, then at some point they should do a line item budget for that amount. Currently, neither landscaping nor communications have sufficient funds in their budgets to cover holiday decorations. I do have a recommendation for that, if they want to do it. As of this morning, the circle lighting from 2024 was returned to our office, and that's ready to be stored properly. And I think Bob, it will take care of that. I recommend that we replace the Christmas tree in the HOA office, as well as a couple of other larger static displays for the circle. Is my recommendation that we review the electrical situation in the circle for future events, including the holiday decorations. We also, yes, I know this is a PPE issue. The gutters on the gatehouse need to be replaced or repaired, but that also has to do with conjunction if we want to decorating there. And then with the luminaries, there were several suggestions about the luminaries. One, that maybe it's a tradition that needs to be discarded because we have a lack of volunteers. And then two, if we continue with the luminaries, we switch to the bags, but we have to realize that that is an additional expense. Currently, the bags that the HOA owns, they should be discarded because they're a fire hazard. We spent $4,000 for pure lighting for the holiday decorations, and we spent another $753.12 for additional miscellaneous expenses, including $192.52 for 1,000 luminary candles. So that is my after-action report for the holiday decorations. You guys have any questions? Okay, so then I'm gonna move forward to the community liaison report. The HOA board received numerous emails from the community this past month. Robert was able to respond to many of them. Of the remaining emails, in-person comments, and phone calls, the majority were related to the ongoing roads issues. Bob and our roads committees have addressed them. We had one complaint about the condition of a specific property. That was referred to ARC, and I think John may address that later. There was another complaint about the continued speeding on Rags Ferry, and we're working on several options regarding that. We have responded to the homeowner with that. We also had 2 emails regarding a status update of the recall petition for our HOA board director. The legal chair responded to one of those emails, while upon the advice of the legal chair, I responded to the second. Respectfully submitted, Cindy Fry and Marilyn. I would also like to let you know that I have been, for about 3 years now, I felt it's very important that we as board members should be very active here in the office. And so I can't speak for anybody else, but I'm going to hold office hours. And I'm going to be in this office 1 day a week, 2 hours. And that's going to be Wednesday mornings from 9 until 11. So if y'all want to come in and talk to me, you can complain, you can give me suggestions, whatever, but I'm going to sit out here on Wednesday mornings from 9 to 11. So if any other board members want to follow suit, that's fine, but I'm going to be here. Okay? That's it. And it's just Marilyn and I for
I was
this
gonna say
committee.
you two are.
It's just the 2 of us.
Okay,
They have to be board positions.
That's what I thought. Yep, those, you are correct. We discovered that.
Yep.
All right, thanks Cindy, Marilyn. And yeah, the number of complaints Robert gets, I love Fridays, Robert's gone. I hate Mondays because Robert keeps us busy about the first half of the day with all the complaints from the previous 3 days. So Mondays are tough, but that's Cindy and Marilyn, they're to address what they can when they can. And if Rhodes has to dig into something, or Jonathan has to dig in, or one of us has to dig into something to get the answer first, you know, they may reach out to you to get that information. So we effectively try to address what we can. Okay, communications, Patrick.
First off, Cindy, I'd like to thank you for meeting with me on the 12th and doing a proper handoff of the comms committee. It was beneficial, and again, thank you. The first thing that we did was Bob and I took down some of the HOA holiday decorations, and then on the 22nd, the contractor's coming out for the rest of the decorations.
They actually did it today. They came early.
Again, I thought so. Thank you very much. Thanks for the heads up. We have the committee, the proposed committee and I have already talked about doing Food Truck Tuesdays, which should return on 4/7. And we're trying to include some other events with that Food Truck Tuesday to make it a more participated event. We're also starting on the planning and ideas for the Easter egg hunt and parties going on for that. But I would like to propose our members that we have. A couple returning members would be Stephanie Hansen. Then we would add Jill Huggins, Jennifer Larimore, Sharon Lackey, Linda Metzler, and Jennifer Stoddard. That would be along with Blaine and I as the co-committee. If anybody has any questions, I'm here to take them, but otherwise it's a nice short report.
Motion to accept this committee. Second. Motion made, seconded, discussion. All in favor? Aye.
So should I take it when I don't hear a nay that it's all yes?
Correct.
Okay, good.
I hear all A's. I don't even ask.
Okay. All right, thank you.
All right, thanks, Patrick. And as a turnover, the good thing for myself, I was able to work with Cindy and her committee putting stuff out. I was able to work with Patrick picking it back up. Anything that didn't get used, we moved in one place. Anything that got picked up. So Christmas is the big thing. About half of what we own really got used, and it's up to him going forward what he does, and that's the way I'd like to do it. But Linda will probably drag me with to help do it next year since she's on the committee. But I appreciate the help from Cindy and Patrick both. So, okay, community liaison, Inga. Condo, I'm sorry.
Condos.
I got community on the mind.
Okay, you won't like my report. Unfortunately, once again, the WPA board did not respond to our request about fixing Wedgefield Village Road and Pool Place. This has been going on now for over 4 years. Why does the WPA treat the condominium owners like second-class citizens? We are paying the same amount of annual assessment as to the WPA as all other homeowners. Actually, our road frontage is a lot less footage per individual condo than per home. A lot of roads were just recently paved, but not really necessary. We really expect a solution. Drainage. The WPA proposed a solution by putting a swale on WPA property to redirect the water into the retention pond discharge. On Rexbury Road from at Altman House to the end of Rexbury Road. The best solution would be to elevate the condominium side of Rexbury Road, which would allow stormwater to drain into the existing drains and not into the condos' crawl spaces, which is still happening, as that was the way it was originally designed to operate. Spectrum. During yesterday's WPA Finance Committee meeting, it was suggested that all renters at the condominiums using Spectrum have that fee included in their rent amount, and the owners then would pay the WPA. I brought that up during last night's WPA meeting. It was turned down unanimously. The Spectrum fee has to be handled exactly the same as all other utility fees and is a responsibility of the individual renter or owner. End of report.
Thanks, Inga.
All right, I want to make one comment about that. So we've had two paving companies that came out and said that raising that one side, we're not going to solve. We have two companies working on bids to dig a swale, but it is not feasible, and it's been said by both paving companies, to pave away the drainage problem. The way now I don't know what it looked like 30 years ago, whether it was a turtleback or not. There's obviously all the drainage infrastructure. There is a catch basin on that left side of Rags Ferry, but we are not in a situation where we can pave that water to go that way. They would, what's the gentleman's name? Lives in our neighborhood.
Dean Floyd.
Dean Floyd,
Floyd.
with his measurement, said you would add 8 to 12 inches of asphalt on one side to make the water pitch back to the other. Now we do want to establish a swale down that side of the road. And this goes back to, this is one of the engineering issues here. Instead of us hiring somebody to just dig the swale, we want a professional to come in, design that, engineer it, and then we pay a site work professional to come in and execute it rather than us eyeballing it and trying to decide what works and what doesn't. And I have been in communication with the duck pond, with the duck impoundment folks, and their water level has been much more amicable. When we had the 10 inches of rain was that in November of this year? The last time we had a significant rain event, it never came within 10 feet of the houses. And they're very standoffish, the owners over there, but I did give them some pictures and I told them my thoughts on what they could do. They're receiving a ton of our drainage there, and I don't think they knew that. So we're working on it. They're not very open to dealing with us because they had a bad experience
Who
with
is not
somebody.
open to dealing
The
with it?
duck impoundment, the people
okay.
behind those condos
right,
where they
gotcha.
were flooded before. But it seems like they have taken heed. I spoke with John Adams earlier today, actually, about his situation over there. But that is one of the areas that we'll have the engineering firm visit it, as far as digging the
Because,
soil on that side.
how would you like it if water, every time we have a heavy rain, comes under your house
Oh, yeah.
and ruins, like actually the bottom of your places? And this is what's happening all the time over there.
And
So it definitely needs to be addressed. And it's been going on for honestly way too long.
But those were the first areas that were developed in this neighborhood. And so those sidewalks are actually acting as channels right now. They're at like swales. The rest of the ground is higher than those brick sidewalks. You have one that runs parallel to the road, and then the ones that go straight to the houses, to the doorsteps. So when it rains and the water does go off of the side of Rags Ferry, it hits those sidewalks and it just channels the water straight to those houses. And we do, and the swale will help with that, but there's also some things that need to happen within the property to corral that water. We'll catch a ton of it coming off the road for sure. But the same rain that falls on the road is falling in the front yard of that condo or that townhouse. And then it's collecting on that sidewalk and it's going straight underneath the houses. And that's where you don't want me to design the fix for that, because that's not what I do every day, but we're gonna get an engineering firm to look at that.
Okay.
Okay.
So hopefully by the next meeting, we have some answers.
Hopefully.
Thanks, Inga. All right, next, Jonathan, we'll do both of your reports, so finance, and then just give ARC, I'll let Bill finish up.
Okay, the roster for the committee is following. Peggy Phillips returns, Inga returns, although I'm not sure we want her. No, yeah, she keeps me straight though. I like it. Marilyn Whites is on again. Brenda Martin, new. Nick Wainwright, new. He's got 23 years experience with Comcast, and we thought that was a particular valuable asset for us because of Spectrum. Brian Larimer, obviously the 5-year. I asked Michelle Bennett because she is a real expert in QuickBooks, and that's the program we run. She indicated she's inundated with committees, but I convinced her to be a consultant to the committee in case we have issues with QuickBooks. Could we use her expertise? She said yes. So that's the committee. That's my recommendation to the board.
We get a motion a second, why he brought that up.
So move.
Any discussion? All in favor? Signify aye. Ayes have it.
Okay, folks, where do I begin? For the last 2 years, we have not had an audit. Excuse me, let me back up. We haven't had an audit. The last audit was 2023. So normally what the audits have been for us, what they call a review audit. Bill familiar with it, and Bill and I have talked about it, as I've talked with other people too. But it's a cursory audit. They look at QuickBooks. They'll do a spot check on our accounts. They'll look at the invoice is correct, and they'll come out with a report. They don't come out with a opinion, but they come out with a report based upon your finances. The last full audit, now a full audit is totally 180. They come in and they rigorously go through QuickBooks. They look at our accounts. They look, do we match up with our vendor invoices? Are the funds being transferred? What's our internal controls? And so we had a major discussion with the finance committee, and here's our recommendation. We feel that what we ought to do for 24 is continue with just the review audit. But for 2025, we want to have the board consider a full audit. And one of the reasons for it is we haven't had a management letter on the weaknesses or strengths of our internal controls. And I think it would be very valuable to have that as a baseline. So that was back in 21, it's 5 years. The expense on this is probably somewhere between $8,000 and $10,000. So you ask, well, where is that going to come from? $5,000 already set aside for this year. We had set aside money last year, but we didn't use it. If you noticed in the financial report, we have $12,000 cash coming through. So essentially, when the finance committee meets in February, we'll rejigger the budget and come back to the board. But I want the board to, on a recommendation, we will do a review audit for 24, a full audit for 25, including a management internal control opinion. And also, we get a full opinion from the CPA on a full audit. And that we expend no more than $10,000. That's my motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Or any discussion? Any discussion? Okay, no discussion. All in favor, signify aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Sure. I'm waiting. Okay. We looked at and discussed, I wasn't at the December meeting, and I know Blaine brought up the issue of Spectrum and could we seek a buyout or whatever. So, I mean, the committee considered it. We're going to continue to consider, but you have to remember certain things. Because I'm familiar, and Maryland is too. We were the ones along with Trina who really pulled the wool out of the fire. Certainly Maryland did. But there, and Cindy, yes, you're right. And the issue here is this: look, we have almost 400 members on our roster. We have 388, and certainly we're going to get to 400. I can't imagine, with all the haranguing going on just to get to this point with that contract, what would happen if we just pull this contract? There's a penalty clause in there. We owe about $1.2 million right now. There's $147,000 that we got as the door fee. That would have to go back. But we said, okay, Blaine's got a point. We will then investigate it and see what our recommendations to the board is. So that's ongoing, but nothing's happening. But the finance committee did decide that we would ask Spectrum to see if we could get a deal for mobile phones. That the rates are fairly low, and could we combine that with our present contract? So we're going to look at that. The issue of insurance, it's just something that sat around. But we've gone ahead and claimed 36. We've asked for the Cypress room rental. That's $3,600. Jennifer's or the landscape committee submitted to me for the flora and fauna. That's about $2,100. We'll resubmit that. There's some other issues, and I think a total comes up about $9,000 that we're going to submit to the insurance claim. We'll see what they do or don't do, but certainly these are items that are owed to us, and it's gone on too long, so we'll take care of that. One of the big things, however, was and I think the attempt was good, the vote wasn't, but the bylaws revision and the review of the policies was in the correct direction. I've looked at these bylaws because I'm your treasurer, and I've looked at the policies. Quite frankly, I have free reign and gratis to do whatever I want with the monies that come in, and that should not be the case. But if you read my in the bylaws, if you read my description of the treasurer, who is the keeper of the funds, and then you look at the policies, I pretty much can do it. I don't have to come to the board. I don't do it that way, but that is a big hole in these policies when they were written. So what I did is I asked the finance committee, we're going to go through the bylaws, specifically the treasurer's description that's in the bylaws, and other issues that mention the finance and the treasury, and then look at the policy. The policies are woefully out of date. And so I think what we're going to do is skip two-step process. We'll come back to the board at some point with recommendations for first and second reading of the policies. The bylaws, that's going to be interesting, but it needs to be sold if the board agrees when we come back with recommendations on the treasurer's responsibilities vis-a-vis the board and how the financing takes place. We really need to address that, because you hold me in high regard, but there isn't anything stopping me from moving things all around, and that should just not be the case. I think that's a big hole in our policies. And I would think that the audit, when we do the audit for the full audit, maybe they discuss that, because they should. because I think that's really, it's not set up properly the way but I don't follow that anyhow. So. And that's the finance report. Oh, one other thing, Spectrum. We had a little problem with Spectrum. The way we would get our monthly report would be by name, a subscriber name. We have 388 subscriber names. So the last 2 months, we haven't got any report. Rob and I have really, really tried to get these reports because I base my financials to you on that and the board when I do the profit loss and the balance sheet. And we haven't been able to get it to sync the subscribers with what we have on QuickBooks, because some people may go, some people might come, and we don't know because they don't sign up here. They sign up at Spectrum. We finally got it. Unfortunately, what we got was by street, not by subscriber. So we talked with Nick. We're going to talk with Robert to see if we can Excel it and marry the subscribers to the street address so we can see who's in and who's out. But that's, Nick, you're shaking your head. You didn't know what you were asking when you volunteered, but it's important. We're not going through addresses. That'll take Robert forever to do it. We've got to have the name so we can sync up who's in and who's out. The issue with the renters is real. I'm not going to kid you folks. When I look at the receivable list, it's coming from the renters. Now they can turn us down, but then it's their responsibility to let us know when they leave. If 3 months go by and we don't know, because that's the issue with this subscriber list, then we're billing out on QuickBooks and it's a receivable. So then we'll have to go back. Well, they're not there. So then we got to debit out. When I have condo regime presidents, and it's come to me and denigrate Spectrum and tell their renters that they are not responsible when they leave, I'm sorry, folks. That's not the way it works here. And I'm not you can't be happy about this. They can turn it down whatever they want, but I'll show you in receivables who owes the money. And it's coming from two regimes over there. And something's got to cut and give. But the board will come back, the finance committee will come back with some recommendation that it's not acceptable. They say it's it's the renter's responsibility. It's not the way it works. So that's my comment. Anyhow, so that's finance.
Mark?
Arc. I'm not sure where to begin on this one. Okay. I'm new to ARC. And what I did, I got back from vacation 2 weeks. I thought that would be good enough to rest. I was shocked it wasn't. I opened the cubby. I looked at the cubby hole there for ARC and I was just floored. Things had stacked up. And okay, folks. So that Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday before New Year's, Nate, myself, and Bob McMahon went through all the applications, and we took care of everything. There were 4, which I'll talk about tonight, which have some issues. But it dawned on me that as I looked at, just me personally, looked at the applications, I wasn't clear sometimes how decisions were made. No, I'm not casting, there's no blame anywhere. It's just the process that was there at the place. So that when I would go to this one, lot 881 in the dock, and I went through it, and there are notes, and I can't tell you really the decision-making process that ARC. So then I said, okay, I'll go to the minutes. That seems to be the best place to start for 2025. There are no minutes. Okay. So we thought about this, and we've come up with a different way of doing these things. It's clear to us that there's got to be a trail of documentation. So when somebody comes in here and asks for an application, that's when the log starts. And we have a log sheet for that. I mean, I have a whole, you've got it in your packet, but you have to lay out the documentation. If there's any committee that's on the precipice for legal action, it's ARC. We make some very heady decisions. It's a highly professional committee. And you can't not understand the process that goes on here. Lot 8081 is the prime example. Ricefield. They're all here replete with not having information that you can follow. And it's very difficult for me as the chairman of the new committee that takes place. So what we did and Nate helped, Mickey, Bob, the committee. We decided we're gonna do it a little differently. When you walk in the office now, Rob has a checklist. And he's gonna go through that first and decide what kind of application you get. You don't get this. That's a waste of time, folks. If you're just doing a roof, you get a certain application for a roof. If you're asking for a project and you need then a subsequent project, you don't get it attached to the original permit. You start a whole new person all over again. Every decision, and I told the committee, every decision that's made, if you go out in the field and you talk to Mrs. Jones, a log has started. You document it when you come back so we know what discussion was. That was what Adam was alluding to. And you continue that documentation all the way through in terms of when the application is finally approved. That's the sum short of it, but it's an issue. We'll clarify it. But for instance, this is how it starts. Rob has a list. He goes through it. He tells the applicant what they need in terms of documentation, and we just start the process there. So let's start with the four that got issues. And you have it in your minutes. We have Barker. Stan and I have been at that one for a long time. That's an issue where we have reviewed it as a committee. The individual's got last time I looked, had a flatbed and logs out on the yard. But ARC looked at it, we'd given the approval, and we think that therefore it becomes, Bill, it's your responsibility with compliance. ARC has no responsibility anymore with that particular issue. Ricefield, Adam, we looked at it. There's drainage issues. Adam, we're talking about a backflow.
We did.
Can you explain what the issue there?
Well, that was the drainage issue. So what happened is we had a lot owner that had a low-lying lot, mostly wetlands, and he's owned that lot for a number of years. With no intention, nothing was being done on it. And then suddenly, just before the holidays, there was a flurry of activity. A bunch of dirt was brought in. There was some riprap installed. We got complaints. We got calls. I actually met with the site work guy that was there. So what happened is he was improving a lot to basically advertise it as buildable without actually making it a buildable lot. It was it's all marketing at this point. It disrupted a lot of the neighbors. That part of Ricefields has a water issue anyway, which is not because of that lot or because of any of the improvements made on that lot, but because it's a low-lying area. There's a catch basin there, but there's two outflow pipes for the drainage that are basically too low. So when you don't even have to have a full moon tide, but you can have a relatively higher tide than normal, and the water backflows through the drainage pipes and floods out the road. Well, then the neighbors see that somebody's coming in and adding fill dirt or sand really to this lot that was storing a lot of water. So we went over there. There was stop work order. We ended up having a meeting with the owners of the lot. The problem there was that he had a permit to clear the lot, but we didn't have a permit for semi-improving a lot. Most people aren't going to those links unless they're actually building a house. So it was never an issue before, or can I add fill dirt to a lot? That was part and parcel of a building plan, which required its own permit. So this was sort of an exploitation of a gray area that we had here. And we had a conference. I say we put it to a stop, but we stopped it after they basically done what they set out to do. Now, the lot today is probably not what would be called a buildable lot, but if it were to go on the market, somebody could look at it and say, yeah, I can build a house right there. And we have further discussions to have about how we treat that lot going forward. But it kind of goes back to what you said. When somebody has a permit to do a certain improvement or project through ARC, whether it's removing a tree, clearing a lot, whatever that might be, if you're going to do anything else, there's a second layer to that permit that needs to take place. Now, what we're going to do as far as that goes, they can't do any more work on that lot. And then what we're doing from a drainage standpoint is hopefully putting some sort of backflow valve on the pipes that exist there. It's a little bit tricky exactly what kind of backflow valve will work on that, and that's why we don't have them yet. I did reach out today, and he's still waiting to hear back from this company. It's going to be a very specific kind of a pipe. It has to be able to move during tides, but it needs to be strong enough that it's watertight when it's not a high tide. It can't just be a regular flap. It's got to be pretty specialized. So I'm still waiting to hear back on that, but I did reach out today and they didn't have an answer for me yet.
Okay, thanks. Lot 59, which is 127 Live Oak. I looked at the plans. I had Nate and Bob look at the plans, the site plan, the elevation, and the internal layout. And then the committee discussed it. We have a number of questions that we need to talk with the owner about. And we were going to set up a meeting with them and discuss some issues that we have with the final layout. The big one is lot 80 and 81. That is this floating dock issue, or I don't know what docket issue. That's one of the problems, folks. This is one where I started reading through it and I said, here, this is what you're looking at. I said, that's not good enough. First of all, also drainage had no sign off on it. The issue, as we looked at as a committee, this is the drawing that came in for the dock and the placement to our major drainage pipe and the adjacent lot. There's two. There's us and another land lot is affected. So I sent a letter from Rob asking for dimensions and scale. What we got back was dimensions. Wasn't good enough. How would I ever know as a chairman, and how would the committee know how things match fits, like a building block? How do they intersect? Third letter went out and I got back no dimensions and no scale. And it appeared to us as a committee, if you looked how things were set, that it was on our land, on the WPA. So we decided Nate and Adam would go out and we do a property line and look for the pins, and they have. The information has come back to me as your chairman. I've communicated with the lot owner, and I said we need a meeting to discuss that particular permit. The drawings are not sufficient for us to make those determinations. Adam would have to sign off in terms of the possible effects of the big pipe and the outflow. And we're not sure in terms of the very skinny gangplank is what I call it now, where that sits on the property. It appears to me, as a non-engineer, that it sits on some of our property. But they don't have our property, and we don't give our property. So we've asked to set up a meeting with the lot owner, and that's on hold. Nothing can happen until we review it with the lot owner and come to some decision, and that's where it is. But this application, here's a sticky pad. This application to me brought home the fact that what ARC needed to do was be very precise about when you walk in the door here, the clock starts, things are filled out, information is given, there is a document trail. If I can't figure out what's going on here, how the hell can the general public? And then it opens up a whole can of worms. And I've told the committee this straight out, that the only person that speaks for ARC is the chairman. There's no side conversations going on here anymore. I'm it. You don't like it, replace me. But the chairman speaks for the committee. Now, when you go out, if Nate goes out and Adam goes out and they come back, they have to document any conversations that they had with any lot for my review and the committee's review. But in terms of the discussion and the pronouncement on any policy or decisions, it's my voice that speaks, not the committee members. Cut that out. We're all done with that. And the committee agreed. So that's where we are now.
Thank you, John. All right, we'll finish up with Bill. Why don't you do compliance first, followed by legal?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay, Compliance Committee. And I'm going to start off, I just called it big picture for me, but it has to do with what Jonathan was talking about I think it's 132 Swamp Fox. I don't see the role, in the policy manual, that the roles and duties and tasks as described in detail in that document for the compliance committee makes the compliance committee the neighborhood police or judge. So I'm not, and I'll get with Jonathan and others, but you know, and I didn't accept the committee chair with an understanding that it went further. But what I see that it does is it, you know, it, as we've talked about, Bob gave some examples earlier, and I think there's been some other references. You know, our manuals are inconsistent, and our policies, you know, from version to version or update to update, or you know, particularly the ones that we can really control, bylaws and the policies, and the compliance committee, as I see it, as I read the policy, is there to make sure they're updated, accurate, complete, and I add useful, because it's a lot of times hard to find what you're looking for. So you know, I think bylaws and policies can be revamped one way or the other, rewritten, add some exhibits, just all kinds of ideas I've been thinking about. But that's what I see as as what the committee is going to be working on, and that's a gargantuan task to do all of that. Those are, the bylaws are what, 20 or 30 pages long, and the policies are a binder full. So that's my goal, is to work towards complete, accurate, and useful governing documents that, you know, that we can all use and rely on. Our bylaws require that any policy changes be submitted to compliance, and that compliance present them to the board for review and first reading. So I'm doing that tonight. Board members, you have on the back page of my report an amended policy 1.03. It's WPA manual, policy manual, section 2, paragraph 1.03, and it's office open hours. And we've already heard at some point during the meeting that Rob's hours have changed, but so here's the policy, and so I'm presenting that for first reading, and it can be voted on at the next meeting. But again, just to summarize it, his hours are 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Monday through Thursday, except 2 Tuesdays of the month. He'll be here from 12 to 6. And that's the first and the third, if I remember. Yeah, first and third Tuesday. So it's spelled out. So that's so I'm presenting that. No vote needed tonight, I don't think. I think we would vote to approve next month. But if there's any discussion, of course, we can do that. And finally, my committee members that I'd like to recommend, you know, I move that the board approve that Jennifer Stoddard, Donna Reifenauer, Jill Huggins, and Joe Crivello join me as members of the compliance committee.
Second.
All right, there's a motion and second on Bill's compliance committee. Any discussion? All in favor, signify with aye.
Aye.
I think the ayes have it. Motion passes.
So, Bill, I'm sorry, I have a quick question. So John just wants you to do or wants compliance to take over an issue. And as community liaison, we need to respond to that homeowner who complained relatively soon. So who's going to take over that issue?
TBD.
TBD. Okay.
Yeah, so my question, and we'll get into it, is what is compliance's
Okay.
role? As I said, I don't think we're supposed to be the cop or the judge.
Well,
So,
and so I got an issue. Compliance committee is to assure adherence to the Wedgefield Plantation Association charter, blah, 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 covenants, blah, blah, blah. Well, if you're not gonna be doing that, not, the committee's not gonna be doing that, and ARC has submitted to somebody in the air that this law, there is an issue with this, then who does it?
excellent question, Jonathan. And that kind of gets back to the policies and the governing documents that I think, we all recognize that this neighborhood needs to adjust. So I don't want, I'm not going to be hard nosed about it now, but that's a project.
So couldn't we, in Cindy's, couldn't you not, as a legal chair, send, there should be some communication to this particular law. That it's not acceptable to have a business vehicle, which clearly is a business vehicle, and logs strewn along. I don't think any of us here would agree to that, but we need some communication to the law. I mean, Stan and I have been going around this for, God, I don't know, Stan, how many years? 4 or 5 years? Yeah.
Well,
And it's a long history with this particular person, but we should send some communication to him saying, look.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I think coming from legal might be bad.
Yeah, not compliance.
But then I'm going to say, well, we need a documented investigation. Because I went over there, I didn't see a truck.
Yeah, the day I went over there was.
So we need. I mean, as a lawyer, I need some evidence to base it on, not hearsay.
Were the logs there?
The logs were there.
Well, he may have had the truck, he was maybe doing business that day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, It's just that we have to respond back to this homeowner, in a timely manner to let her know that we are acting upon it. So that's the reason for my question. So, okay, cool.
Okay,
Well,
Legal
how does
Affairs
it
Committee.
Hold on.
Yes.
Before you start legal, I know we forgot to approve Jonathan's.
Yeah,
our
so
committee.
my
So if we could back up for a
So
second.
my art committee recommendation are the two Macedo brothers, Tom and Mike, who've been on before, Balk McMahon, past president, been on Nate the Dude Builder. Liz Wainwright helps us with legal, and we have Mar Beadle, who is a consultant to us as she's a professional arborist, has her degree in forestry from University of Minnesota, and worked for the city of Charleston as an arborist. We've never had that, so this is a great addition to the committee. So that's my recommendation.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor for the art committee, signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, I want to back up. All right, legal.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Legal Affairs Committee report. Again, big picture, because this is my first meeting, so that's why I start with big picture on both of these. I'm a licensed attorney, but I'm not WPA's attorney. I'm not the board's attorney. I'm not your attorney. So, I just need to make sure people understand that. No attorney-client privilege, stuff like that, I'm not going to sign litigation documents, filings in court or something like that. The filing for the bylaw change, that I could sign. That doesn't even require a lawyer to sign it. Actually, I think the secretary and the president sign that.
Right.
But so that might be that type of county filing might be okay, but not a legal litigation filing or anything, and it's clearly not representing anybody in court. So I did have a recent conversation with our outside attorney, Joe Crosby, and we have two legal proceedings in progress. One is the Ricketts case, which which many of you probably know, and that's about Mr. Ricketts wanting to see documents, and that's in process where our lawyer is actually waiting on a document to be prepared from Mr. Ricketts' attorney that will set the ground rules for Mr. Ricketts to come in and review some documents. The attorneys have already agreed to that, but now they need to put it in what's called a consent order and get the judge to accept it. And so, but our attorney's waiting on Mr. Ricketts' attorney to get that over. I'm not saying he's taking too long. He's just waiting at this point. The other one is Wedgefield Properties that owns the 22 lots. You know, Joe, our attorney says liens have been filed and foreclosure filed, and we're waiting on a court date. And he said something about the county courts call it rosters when, you know, the rosters of their cases coming up. And Joe said he thinks the roster is opening up. So that might mean we'll get put on the docket sometime in the not too distant future. And here's my motion to approve Legal Fair Committee members. I move that the board approve that Liz Wainwright, Rosemarie Garrison, and Peggy Phillips join me as members of the Legal Affairs Committee.
Second.
Motion's made, second. Discussion. All in favor, signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.
All right, thank you. And last, but certainly not least.
Phil, before you go there,
Yes,
I just had
sir.
a quick question. It's about the Wedgefield Properties and the foreclosure.
Yes.
Do you foresee any conflict of interest, being that our attorney is also the master in equity who would handle that case, the judge?
Well, yes, that would be a conflict of interest. He would have to recuse himself. Today was the first day that I heard about. I knew there were some lien issues, but that things have been filed and we're waiting on a court date. I'll have to talk to him about that. But yeah, he could not serve as the judge by any means, because he's already advising us, because he was telling me about it today. So I think he's already done enough that he certainly couldn't forget that he's already representing us and go to be the judge.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Good question. Good question. Because I did not know that, I did not tie those two together, but you're exactly right. He could maybe the person who would hear it normally.
I think he stepped down in the past.
Yeah, he's already said that he would not.
On that case?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Well, good. So he's already thought about that.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Those properties actually went on the market this week. 10 of the 12, the 22 lots are for sale.
Really?
All 10 lots are Dragoon Court.
They're what?
They just put them on the market yesterday.
All right. Well, that's consistent with what he told me. I wasn't going to make that public because, again, public sales but I mean, he didn't say anything was signed, but he said there was a possibility some of them would be sold. And that might mean we've got, in that sale process, since we have a lien and a foreclosure action, we may have an attorney calling us to negotiate
Right.
what we would settle for. You know, if they owe 10,000, we just settle for 5. And I've been making up numbers. So we may, that's something we may hear.
Keep going up.
Marilyn and
Keep going up.
I negotiated. You
Yes.
said, go to hell.
Yeah, we did, didn't we?
Yeah.
Keep going up.
So,
All right, before we move forward, I'm going to ask Brian to excuse himself from the next part of this. And Blaine, if you'll take any notes while he's out. Okay.
Well, while he's out, Bill, I got to ask you a question on the Ricketts case. So that will come back. Will the board see the agreement before? I saw the original, as legal chair, I saw what they were, the original, and then I presented that to the annual meeting. And if those who were at the annual meeting remember what they were asking for. and it was ungodly. So I'm just wondering, well, we got to look at this.
I would certainly require me to look at it,
Yeah.
and so, and I would certainly share it
Okay, thanks.
with board members.
Thanks.
So,
Because I'm named twice in that suit.
I know. And I talked to him about that. I talked to Joe about that today and said, you want it out, but,
Just saying.
but, so.
Okay, thanks.
But it sounded like there was some agreement between the attorneys to, and it might not feel like it, but to limit the scope and identify the scope. And if we can just do that and redact things that he can't look at, because that'll be part of the agreement, that we can redact, you know, that Joe actually thought.
Well, here's my feeling on it. I'll give you my 2 cents for what it's worth as the treasurer. You have a 24 tax return that we submitted and probably will be amended because we wanted to get in, cross the date for the feds in the state of South Carolina. We have yet and won't file, I think February 15th when we'll do the 2025. You have 2 audits going on. You know, if I'm Joe Schultz and I'm looking for ammunition, you don't have your tax return officially done for 24, 25, an audit for 24 and 25. I bet I can find a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I would really object most strenuously to the board that nothing be done until those actions are done. And then you've got a clean house here, go for it, do whatever you want. Because part of it was going into our accounting system. And I think that would be, we're opening ourselves up. There's nothing, look, there's no one's taking any money. There's nothing nefarious. But if I'm looking for issues, I'll find them. Because you're behind 2 years now. That's, I mean, as a board member, I would object to any agreement from him. Because I'm named in that suit twice, and God damn it, I'll hire the board. What you don't know, the board authorized me $25,000 to hire my own attorney to defend myself in this case, not as an individual, but as the treasurer. And I'm telling you, I'm not going to waste time. If I don't think that I'm being protected, no disrespect to you, Bill, I'm telling you, I'm exercising the 25. And you think you want to see a hole in this budget? Go ahead, Mr. Ricketts. Because I'm not going to hire a $250 lawyer. I'm done with it. And the BS that's going on here in terms of this association. So you got my, and he may be listening,
I know.
and some of his minions may be listening, but I'm just telling you, it's time to cut this BS out.
Yeah, just be patient. Let me get.
No, I am, but I'm just,
Let me get up to
I just
speed.
want you to
But I
understand my
agree with you.
opinion,
I
yeah.
understand fully.
You know where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I understand fully.
Yeah.
Okay.
One second. Steve just came back in. Somebody's golf cart lights have been on since probably they, don't worry about it. Okay. All right. Taken care of. All right. Go ahead, Bill.
Okay, did Brian leave?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so the last thing I have is to just update everybody on the petitions to remove Brian as a director. Sometime we use the word recall sometime, but you know, I like the word remove because that's what's in the bylaws. So as most of you know, or generally know, in mid-November, November 19th, a group of petitioners submitted a box with 180, with enough petitions that covered, because of multiple owners, 180 votes. And so, and that was kept sealed for quite a while. But that was November 19th.
We can't fool it.
In late November, I might have the date wrong here. That's why I'm not going to say the date right now. But in late November, I think it was, the board created a special review committee to examine the ballots, the petitions, and count the petitions in favor of removal. So. Like it or not, it's just a fact right now. The special review committee did not meet until January 9th, but they got all their work done that night, and they examined ballots and they counted the ballots that were eligible, and they determined that eligible petitions were insufficient to force a call of a special meeting to vote on removal. A lot of people, and it took me a while to get my head wrapped around it, but the first petition was merely, can I get enough petitions that allow the board to call a special meeting at which the entire membership will vote on removal? So the petition is not to remove. The petition is to call a special meeting to remove. And that's a prerequisite to calling the special meeting. So anyway, the special review committee determined that there was not sufficient petitions or votes to do that. Shortly thereafter, 4 days later, I sent a letter to Georgianne Reichel. Is that how you say it? Richel. I'm sorry. Sorry. And so I sent a letter to Georgianne, informing her and giving her some details and giving her the report of the committee, full transparency there. And then the next day, Georgianne asked for a phone call. I gladly had submitted, and we had a nice long conversation. She told me her concerns and thoughts, and I told her mine, and so and there were a few things she wanted me to follow up on, and I said I'll be happy to do that. And so on the 19th, 5 days after our phone call, Georgianne sent me a text after addressing some issues and requesting a recount. And then today, I had been working on it for a number of days, but I sent a second letter to Georgianne answering her questions and the best I could find answers. So where do we stand? Okay, for board members, you'll have this spreadsheet. There's very little disagreement in the numbers here. This is really almost a mathematical problem. But we both agree that there's 576 units, total units. The office provided to the special review committee and then I reviewed it later, a document telling units not in good standing because they're not eligible to vote. So we had to back that out of the 576. So our own documentation shows 31 ineligible. 22 of those are those Wedgefield property units. So there was 545. We calculate, or the special review committee calculated 545 total units eligible to vote on whether to call a special meeting. The petitioners somehow, and I don't know where they got the number, they had 33 units not in good standing. So they actually had more units in good standing. So they ended up with 2 less units eligible to vote.
2 more.
But if you divide the eligible number to vote by 3, in order to have the authority and really the duty to call for that special meeting to vote to remove, there has to be petitions of at least 1/3 of the units eligible to vote. So we had the special review committee had 545 units eligible to vote. Divide that by 3, you get 187.67. Round that up to 182. And that Georgianne and I talked about that too, about the rounding, but I mean, a petition is either whole or not there at all. I can't parse petitions. So if we rounded it down to 181, that would be less than the 181.67. So you really had to have, for the special recall committee, 182 in order to be sufficient. But with their numbers, two less eligible to vote, divide that by 3, it was right at 181. So we had 182 you had to vote for approval. They had 181. Still pretty close. I mean, we're agreeing on most things. So 180 votes were submitted back in November in a box sealed that wasn't opened until January 9th, when the special review committee or recall committee looked at it. And that there was 180 votes, and we both agree, the petitioners and us, we agree on that. And then there was another ballot, or I call it a ballot, another petition. Thank you. You should do this. Another petition that was submitted a month and a half later on January 5th. And don't know why it was submitted by itself, but or why it wasn't submitted earlier. And so the committee looked at all of that stuff, and so there was 180 plus 181 petitions received. The special review committee disallowed two petitions. They disallowed the petition that was received in January. The cutoff date was November 19th when the big box was delivered, and that's when actually the petitioner started counting whether we met this so-called 30-day limit or not, or deadline to act. So that was the deadline. That's what the special review committee said, and so that was not allowed. So we're now down to 180 votes, and then there was another one that was in the packet of 180, but the owner sold the house, signed the petition, sold the house, and then they were in the packet submitted, and so that the signed owner did not own that property at the date we're using as the trigger date, the date of records, which was November 19th. 2025. So they disallowed that as well. So the special review committee only had 179 votes, needed 182. It failed. The petitioners, they would have to have 181, they'd have to have 181. So they would need all of those votes back, and they may even have to change that units in good standing that was different. So that's what the committee said, and I did my best, and I documented this in my letters to Georgianne. How I went and tried to verify all the numbers that the special committee used. Number of lots, ineligible lots. I tried to verify all of those, and I had numerous documents. Multiple owners, were they given credit for each lot and things like that. So, and it looked to me like special review committee did that okay. So with that, we believe, or the special review committee says that they didn't have the requisite number of votes, which would mean since that's a prerequisite to ask for a recall meeting, special meeting, there can't be a special meeting because we don't have the prerequisite number of votes. So I move that the board accept the report of the special recall committee, concurs with the special recall committee that an insufficient number of eligible votes were timely submitted, and determines that there is no authority to call a special meeting at which the membership would vote on the removal of Mr. Larimore.
Okay, so just to start this discussion, I'll second it.
Okay.
Motion made and seconded Discussion?
The last time we had a recall was 15 years ago. And the board administration at that time delayed authorizing or verifying the petitioners. And they exceeded a state mandate for 30 days. Can you enlighten us on that?
Yes, first of all, and I've read that opinion numerous times because it's my personal opinion, a little disjointed, hard to follow. And I'm not sure I like some of the reasoning or legal conclusions. But yes, so there was a question about whether, because our bylaw says that the board can call the special meeting. But state law under the Nonprofit Act or something, I might have that slightly wrong. It's 33-31-702, I believe. And it does say that a nonprofit has 30 days to act on petitions to remove. And I'm not an expert in that area of the law, but that may be absolutely accurate. Maybe our bylaws could be updated to show that if that's accurate. But in that case, it really didn't matter. The people were leaving anyway, or whatever. They were termed out or didn't run. And the judge took that into consideration. Here, and the judge never addressed, it was known that there was enough petitions to get the recall. That's where this differs. It's not known. Matter of fact, I think we do know that there's not enough. And so if you don't have enough petitions, yes, a violation may have occurred. The 30 days, but the prerequisite for, which is the number having 180, whatever I said, 181, 182 votes didn't exist, then there can't be a removal vote by the membership anyway. So yes, there may have been a technical violation of the special review committee not acting within 30 days, and whether that would even mean they would have to bring it to the board within 30 days. I don't know, but we didn't. But that didn't happen. But it doesn't eliminate the need for the prerequisite number of petitions. Is my legal opinion. Yes.
And I think another difference, Bill, I read that case and also the state law, and that case up front, they said they had 181 votes, and it also said in it that the then president and vice president purposely drug their feet for months, and I'm not talking 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, to stop that recall committee from ever acting. That did not happen here. We got them on the 19th. You sent a letter on the 20th, 21st. We had our special meeting 24th. We turned it over to Bob Garrison on November 26th, the night before Thanksgiving. Up front, we knew after Jonathan had talked to Crosby, that with the holidays, we knew it would be tough. Mr. Crosby said, do not drag your feet. Don't make it May, June, July, August, whatever. Get it done. At which time we decided we had to get it done in January. Nobody authorized anything, dictated anybody to drag their feet, because that, of course, is not the way to do things around here. So we got on it as quickly as we could. It happened right after the holidays. I never instructed anybody to do anything different than get it done. So there is a little bit of difference in that 2010 again, 15, 2010 case versus this one. And they had 181 up front, which is a whole lot better.
No, the court case said 180.
Yes.
The dimensions of the thing have changed.
Right.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor. Any further discussion? We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion?
Well, I think, I want to add something. I think it's incumbent upon this board to, as a matter of fact, enter in at least to the minutes of this meeting, January 13th to 2026 communication from our legal chair, and January 20th, 26 also from our legal chair. That's the foundation of how we're making this decision. And that should be a matter of fact and entered in.
And our motion on the floor from Bill is to accept the recall committee's document, their count, and what went on. So we have that record of that on there.
Well, just to make sure, Claire, we accept the committee's report.
Right.
We concur with their decision that the petitions were insufficient.
Right.
And we conclude that there's no authority to call a special meeting.
Right, but I'm going to make a motion after yours. These should be included in the minutes. As a matter of record, that's our basis for making this decision.
Yeah, so we've already made that and you seconded it. I'll second
Okay.
your
All right,
amendment.
fine, then we're good.
I'll
Okay.
second
All
your
right.
amendment.
Right.
So we need to take a vote on that amendment to
Right.
add those two documents to my letters to Georgianne, to the meeting minutes.
Right.
All right, motion's on the floor to accept the recall committee's report, their findings, all the minutes from Bill's letters, and the final minutes from the recall committee, their proposed letter, to accept all that as documents to put into the file on this recall.
That's right.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor signify with aye.
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 Opposed?
No.
Stan, you vote?
I'm not voting.
You're not voting. Okay.
So what's
Motion carries.
what was the vote?
4-2. 5-2. Motion carries. I will say one thing. Mr. Condon down there, I know the amount of hours and time and effort that lost sleep that he's put in to work on this recall. And to me, he professionally handled this. He's much a welcome addition to this board, and I don't know how we would have done anything without him on this. But I certainly, my hat goes off to him. I want everybody to know that.
And I'll just say one other thing about Georgianne. She was great. We had great conversations, and she was very appreciative of us getting back to her and answering her questions to the best of our ability. And that's not me. That's just what our community needs.
Well, if we're still talking, I understand that, Bill, but then I get an email that was shared for me on the 20th at 2:44 from Georgianne, and that doesn't sound like a person that's,
No,
I'm just laying it out here,
I know.
okay?
I know.
All right. I'm not putting that in the record, but everybody's got it.
That's not necessary.
Okay, what do we
Please,
do?
please. All right, Brian gets in. We'll move on to unfinished business.
I want to say.
All right.
I don't know.
We can't look at, here's what I got to say about the unfinished business, and we will skip them so we can get out of here. But most of these things have come down to policies readings? Are some of it compliance? All of these things should have already went through compliance, because before they can ever go to first reading, when you read what Bill just brought up earlier, compliance should already saw them before they can ever go to first reading, just like the hours did tonight. So what we're having is, and what I believe happened is document review committee last year put in some of this versus compliance. And right now, I don't know where they stand, but at some point, we need to get these things moving forward. And if they've all had first reading, they don't have to be in Bill's hands. They've already been in Bill's hands, or whoever had compliance prior to that. And what I will say, and Brian, we might want to touch bases on the first one. And after last month's meeting, Donna came to me a day or two later, and she addressed this code of ethics and conduct and the form that everybody signed at the last meeting and whatnot. And so she and I had a good conversation about it. Well, then, being the president, I kind of dug into that. And then what I found, what I found was that, okay, this was put in as a new policy. Nowhere was the sign form on here. In one part of our manual, it was put in as a policy. In no place did it replace code of ethics or code of conduct for the forms we all signed. So the first thing I do is call Brian and said, Brian, where the heck did you get this form to sign at this meeting? Okay, so he said, well, Rob gave it to me. So then I come, Rob, where did you get this form to sign? Well, it's right here online. Well, I know better than that because I've been online. All right, so that form did not exist. So then I have Peggy, go get the book that we all use, the master copy from the office. And I said, show me it and show me this policy. In the master copy of the book was not the new policy. So all of these things and what Bill and I are finding, and Brian, we're beating our heads against the wall because the policy manual doesn't match online, or online doesn't match the policy manual, or there's two different places in the policy manual that say two different things.
Yeah.
So we're kidding ourselves when we say we're doing great. We have a lot to fix, trust me. And I've been doing this job 2 months, and I'm kind of stupid and I have to read, but the more I read, the more I find. So thank you, Donna, and we'll get to the bottom of this. It'll take time to fix this stuff, and tonight's not the night. Thank you. All right, new business, okay, let's keep going. New business, the only thing I got, and maybe Stan, you know about it. What I've heard is Gary Dreyer is the only one that knows about it. There are 19 ponds out here, 21 ponds. Golf course has 17. We have 2.
Right.
Okay.
And they're maintained by a professional organization through the golf course, and we pay the golf course for our additional 2 ponds maintenance. And any time that there was a problem, I get a hold of Christian, he'd call them company, and they would go out there and take care of it. And we had some ugly looking scum.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the story I got. Stan knows about it. So we have a invoice due in March because that's the end of the contract for $701.88. Christian is not renewing the contract with these people, at which time we will not either, but I'm going to contract the service that we used out at the plant at work for our 2 ponds is like $250 a pond, so we will save ourselves.
If I can interject, Angel Oak also was making recommendations for a different company because they felt as though the algae was much too high in the big pond.
Well, this company, A&Q Aquatics, pond gets treated once a year and it lasts for the year. So I'll contact them. If you give me that other name,
I don't have it.
Oh,
I'd
okay.
have to contact Angel Oak.
Okay. All right. You do? Okay. Send that to me, Jennifer. That way I got 2 quotes and find one more to do. Well, we can do the old company. But they wanted to raise another 4% this year, and Christian told them no. So he's going to contact, we're going to try to use the same one so we save the travel fee. But that's all I have for new business.
But it's 701.88. We should just agree that we're gonna pay it. which is very inexpensive.
Mhm.
No one objects, $788.
$701.88. Pay up to the golf course.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Or 2 pounds.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah, we're good. As long as nobody objects, we're okay.
All right, they say no vote. I'm good.
So what do we actually sign tonight for the committees?
TBD.
Yeah.
Sign the
Well,
other stuff?
Confidentiality
Yeah, just confidentiality, and the
and
code of
Code of-
code of ethics
code of ethics.
and the conflict of interest.
Those three.
Okay.
Those three for now
Yes, sir.
till, all right. We have to address that one.
Okay. I have copies of those for all committee chairs and board. I have copies made out already. So come see me after.
Yeah, if you could take care of that, we get everybody caught up to date. But again, thanks to Donna. Any other new business? Next meeting is February 17th, 7 PM. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Third, hold on, we're getting to Q&A. We need to adjourn first. All right, adjourn is, Robert, 21:30. 9:30, all right. Meeting adjourned. Q&A. Question?
Do I go eat dinner or breakfast?
It's brunch, Bill.
Brunch.
Question? Hold on.
I have a question about the responsibility of the grounds. It sounded like tonight that we had responsibility over the condos, islands, and trees and stuff. That was what was communicated just now.
I'll have to read that policy, whatever it currently says, since there's never been a second reading.
Well, the grounds policy itself doesn't lay out which pieces of property, like exactly, like, you know, the corner of this street and that street. It doesn't get that specific.
Correct.
So we have to just go by the map and try to determine where the common areas are. But during tonight's meeting, it sounded as though the condos, the islands of the condos were part of that responsibility as well.
That's not true.
No,
Our landscape takes care of that.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I didn't hear that, but
No, I mean, yeah.
about the roads and the centers.
The
roads.
And we do own a pond, the condo association owns a pond.
I got yours.
Just want to get clarification on what we need to do.
Okay, thanks, Jennifer.
Roads, ditches.
Questions? Hold on.
I'll send you an email.
I brought this forward probably 2 years ago. When we get heavy rains and one off of Bragg Street right there where it drops down and goes into the condos. It's
That dip.
Yeah, that dip, that
Yep.
first dip with the, speed bump is, thank you. One side, and it's like a crossover for Georgetown County Water and Sewer. One side will get cleaned out, but yet the other side is choked out with vegetation that will not let the water go into that swamp to get out. And it will back up all the way back behind the condos. So if you're going to one side, do the other with that vegetation.
I don't know if I don't know anything about, does Mark Howard do that? I've never dealt with cleaning that pipe right there.
I'm not exactly sure, but it's the other side because it would have to be either WPA or there's that one lot that's for sale. They have all that vegetation on both sides coming in and just choking it out. They just let the water back up all the way down Bragg Street Road on both sides.
We could probably dig that out. You and I
A
could
lot of that vegetation, there's probably about that much sand.
spray it and dig it out.
We can dig it out. Well, that's another thing is having somebody that can clean culverts.
Of course, we get a lot of rain, because I back up as it, ditches go all into the forest. All right, I'm watching water, but that one good.
Adam, you and me, or we'll go look at the
Yeah.
drainage at the dip. Yep.
I'll get over here with you guys.
Thank you. We'll look at this.
Yeah, just wondered how far it goes.